Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Billings police continue to investigate a crash that took the life of a 16-year-old girl late this afternoon on Rimrock Road. That wreck happening just after school this afternoon around 3:45. Police say the teen driving a Toyota sedan north on Virginia Lane pulled out onto Rimrock Road and was then T-boned by an eastbound Dodge Ram pickup. The 16-year-old died at the scene. A 14-year-old passenger was sent to the hospital with what appeared to be minor injuries. Now, the three people in the truck appeared to be okay. Police say there were no obvious indications of drug or alcohol use, but the driver of the truck was sent for a blood draw, which is customary in a fatal accident. The investigation continued late into the night.
They have their Faro scan, which is like a 3D imaging thing. Collecting evidence, gathering all the detailed stuff like that. They'll be able to determine speeds based off skid patterns and stuff like that. We do have some witnesses and stuff, it sounds like, and maybe some security footage. So they'll be following up on that, trying to make sure that all the stories kind of line up together.
It'll be up to the county attorney to decide if there are any charges in the crash. The name of the 16-year-old girl who was killed has not yet been released. Well, the Park County Sheriff's Office is currently on the scene of a very tense situation in Livingston, one that started around 1:30 this afternoon. A Livingston man has barricaded himself inside a home after an altercation with authorities where he allegedly shot at responding deputies. Now, this happening in the Vista View Trailer Park Court, which is just across from Park High School there in Livingston. According to Sheriff Brad Bickler, no one was hit and no officers returned fire. Law enforcement has evacuated the neighboring homes and instructed the surrounding neighborhood to shelter in place. The sheriff's office is currently using drone technology to get a better look at the home and its surroundings. The suspect remains armed, and officers say the potential for violence remains. Now, due to the ongoing situation and its potentially volatile nature, there will be no school tomorrow at the following Livingston schools: Eastside Elementary, Sleeping Giant Middle School, and Park High School. This includes the canceling of online schooling as well. Local law enforcement says it's important to keep the area clear for students, family, and staff safety. At St. Vincent Healthcare in Billings today, faith leaders gathered to honor those who've passed away from COVID-19 within the hospital walls. Staff hoped the Festival of Lights prayer service would help bring a sense of closure to families who've experienced loss. Q2's Mitch Legge was there today and brings us the story.
Different faith leaders and hospital staff gathered at St. Vincent Healthcare in Billings to honor the 177 lives lost from COVID-19 within the hospital over the course of the pandemic.
Comfort your family in their loss and sorrow. Be our refuge and our strength, O Lord, and lift us from the depths of grief into the peace and light of your presence.
Bishop Warfel offered a blessing over 3 candles lit during the Festival of Lights prayer service. The first candle represented the lives lost at St. Vincent. The second represented people across the state who've passed away from COVID-19. And the third candle honored Native American lives lost due to the virus. William Big Day with the Crow Tribe led the group in attendance in a smudging ceremony, wafting the smoke of herbs through the chapel while speaking a prayer. Deacon Joseph Christofic from Blessed Sacrament Church on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation sang the Journey Song to honor Native American lives lost. Following the service, staff at St. Vincent Healthcare placed all of these flags near the front entrance, each one representing a soul lost within the hospital's walls to COVID-19.
It was very damaging to our Native American brothers and sisters, and we honored them in particular today because of that great loss. We never forget. We don't, move ahead, but we can move forward. But we will learn to walk again, but we'll walk with a limp, carrying these lives and all the other lives that we've lost during this time.
Brennan said she hopes the flags and prayer service can offer a sense of closure to the families who've lost loved ones to COVID-19. In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. And you can find a link to view the full prayer service on Mitch's story on ktvq.com. An update on the Montana COVID-19 vaccine front. Montana has reached an agreement to redirect nearly 20,000 unused COVID-19 vaccines across the state. Governor Greg Gianforte says the vaccines were originally allocated to CVS and Walgreens for use in long-term care facilities. However, about 19,500 of those doses will not be needed. Montana asked the federal government if it could reallocate the vaccines and got approval. The state will order the vaccines this week and direct them to hospitals around the state. The plan is to set up community vaccine clinics in coming weeks.
Every dose Montana receives is critical, which is why I promised you in my first week in office that we wouldn't let vaccines sit on the shelves. Today, we're following through on that promise.
The redirected doses are all Pfizer vaccine, and the state says they'll be used as first and second doses for about 10,000 people. The Montana Senate has endorsed a bill expanding the right to carry guns here in the state. Senators took an initial vote 30-20 in favor of House Bill 102, which would allow people to carry concealed firearms without a permit in most places and with a permit in state and local government buildings. The bill also limits how college campuses can regulate guns. Last week, the bill was reassigned to the Senate Judiciary Committee, which amended it. The changes included allowing colleges to limit guns at some sports and entertainment events and letting people conceal carry without a permit in bars and restaurants.
If you have people that are from out of state, they might not feel comfortable if somebody walks in with a pistol strapped on. But under Montana law, that's the way that it is now. So to me, it seems like it's a very common sense change to allow those people to cover it up, to conceal it, put a shirt or a coat over it.
HB 102 will now go through a final vote in the Senate, and because the bill was amended in the Senate, the House will have to vote on whether to accept the changes. Montana hunting outfitters turned out in force today at the Capitol in favor of Senate Bill 143, which would set aside 60% of the non-resident big game hunting licenses for outfitter clients. The bill's sponsor, Senator Jason Ellsworth of Hamilton, said he wants to amend the bill so the percentage of set-aside licenses would equal the number used by outfitter clients now. Outfitters from across the state said they need that certainty rather than having them depend on getting a tag in a lottery. Ellsworth said the bill also will generate an additional $2.5 million a year to be used to create more access for all hunters, but opponents said the bill overturns a 2010 voter initiative that did away with the outfitter license set aside. However, opponents said the bill overturns, along with overturning that voter initiative, it also unfairly favors outfitted hunters, making it harder for non-residents who do not hire outfitters to get licenses. Well, today in Helena, House Committee Republicans revived and approved a bill that would end Election Day voter registration. The House State Administration Committee had tabled that bill last week, but on successive 10-9 votes this morning, it revived the bill, then advanced it to the House floor. The committee did amend the bill, setting the cutoff time for voter registration at noon on Monday before Election Day instead of the bill's original cutoff time of 5 p.m. Friday before the election. All 7 Democrats on the committee and 2 Republicans voted against the bill. Representative Marvin Weatherwax of Browning, a member of the Blackfeet tribe, called the bill voter suppression. The bill likely will be on the House floor for a debate and vote later this week. Montanans have been able to register on Election Day since 2006. All right, turning to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh now. Ed, record highs today. Tomorrow might feel quite a bit different, though.
That's for sure. Yeah, let's take a look because we did set record highs in several communities, including here in Billings. How about Glasgow, a record that goes back to 1909. Glendive tied the record. Worland, Wyoming, it wasn't even close. But that's all following a warmer and drier than average January. In fact, our warmest day last month for Billings at the airport, 64 degrees on February 13th, which was also a record for the date. We only got to 12 for the coldest reading all month. Average temperature was almost 6 degrees above average. We had half the precipitation, and check out 1.7 inches of snow compared to the 8.5 inches that we would normally see. We're going to start to see that pendulum swing the other way. We'll have details on that coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Ed. Youth hunger is an issue our community and state faces every day. There are good programs like Backpack Meals and Teen Pantry that help fill some of that need, but the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly added a twist to an already difficult situation. Tonight, Q2's Janelle Slade reports on how some silent soldiers are stepping up.
Happy Monday morning, foot five, come on, give me some.
Beartooth Elementary Principal Travis Niemeyer takes on parents, kids, classes, and now COVID-19 every day.
Wow, look at that! Oh, I love it, thank you! Good morning. What a great way to start my Monday, thank you! Give me a foot five, hey, all right.
Those challenges he can handle. It's a silent issue that tears at his heart.
I could tell you stories that kids that go home and they don't have food. It's not in the cupboards. It's not in the house. Parents bring it home on a daily basis if they can afford it.
The Backpack Meals program fills student packs with enough food for elementary kids to keep fed through the weekends and over the holidays.
We had a 4-fold increase in demand, so we went from about 300 a week to 1,200 every weekend.
And the Teen Pantry program also took a hard hit.
The high school programs went up dramatically as well. In fact, we emptied everything in the middle school and high school pantries just to feed people.
And it seems like so little, but what it does for the kids is so much greater than that. I mean, it provides not just the nutrients and the things that they need to be ready for school, but I see it in a lot of kids, it provides them with some hope.
Hope and necessary nutrition that every child needs.
Here in the U.S., there's a lot of kids that we don't realize are hungry, but are, and it can permanently affect their emotional, physical, and intellectual well-being and development. And when you think about permanently, that's a pretty huge effect, to say the least.
Since the pandemic began, important volunteers for these programs are no longer allowed inside the schools. So that's where teachers, principals, counselors, and other school staff have stepped in.
They are, in fact, our school district and our school food service. It's unbelievable what goes on behind the scenes to make sure that students have the tools they need to learn.
Have you ever done any driving to people's houses on a Friday night? Make sure
we have from time to time. Yeah, if they're not there that day, we'll call, especially if we know it's a real dire situation, and we'll call them up and say, hey, you're not in school. Do you need some food? Yeah. I don't want to say our kids need it. Our kids deserve it. And our kids deserve that hope and that ability to look forward to the weekend instead of dreading the weekend and what it's going to bring for them as far as what's in the house, as far as food and things like that and resources.
You guys were doing awesome last week. She was telling me.
So as Principal Niemeyer, his team and other educators deal with the day in and day out of kids' classes and COVID-19, you also know these silent soldiers are taking the extra steps to make sure our children don't go hungry. In Billings, Janelle Slade, MTN News.
Thanks, Janelle. It costs $4.25 per week to provide a child with a Backpack Meals Kit. It contains 2 days of breakfast and lunch food, and 98 cents of every donated dollar goes straight to the food for the students. And you can help. Mark your calendars. This Friday is the day to support your favorite team at work, school, or home while raising money to help fight student hunger. It's 406 Backpack Jersey Day. Friday, February 5th here in Billings. You can help the Education Foundation raise money to support these programs, and to take part you can go online to givebutter.com/406 Jersey Day. Make a donation of $5 or more, then wear your favorite team jersey Friday, February 5th at home, school, or work. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news on Q2, a new chancellor's in charge at MSUB. We're going to meet the newest Yellow Jacket, learn how her time on a Montana ranch will come in handy when running the university.
Hey everybody, Scott Breen here. Coming up in sports, Super Bowl Sunday just around the corner. Wait till you see some of the wackiest sports bets available this weekend, including one involving a Huggies commercial